Welcome back to the catch up here on Cris Cyborg's YouTube channel. I am James Lynch. She is Cris Cyborg. Cris, I feel like we haven't done this in forever. How are you? I love the new background.
Happy New Year. Excited to be here back. I was working really hard. And I'm glad to see you, James, too. Good, great news, great fight. I'm excited for this year.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And some great news as well with you coming off that big win in boxing. And before we talk about that, I want to remind our audience to make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. It really does help out the channel a lot. And yeah, I'm just excited because, again, you're coming off the big win. Before we talk about the victory itself in boxing, how was camp? I know you went out to Washington State. How did everything go leading into the fight?
No, I stayed there for a long time. New Year, Christmas. The place I started learning there have a lot of hiking, and then rain a lot over there, and it's cold. In the beginning, I was don't know what to do much, but then I started making many friends there, and then people say, "Cris, here in Seattle, we hiking in the rain. Doesn't matter." So it was fun. It was a nice place to train. And I was training every day at the Team Benavidez and sparring 3 times a week. It was an amazing team. I learned a lot, and now I feel ready. I felt ready for the fight. And then I was doing hiking every day. It was fun. It was fun. It was really cool. And I like it to stay just to focus to boxing there, and then learn a lot of things. It was really good.
Well, it paid off. What a win that was. If people haven't seen it, I'm sure you can find it online. Cris, 81 seconds, a walk-off knockout. You don't see that too often. How satisfying was that victory in the boxing ring?
I was ready to do all the rounds, because more rounds I have, more experience I get it. But it was a great fight. I prepared. Was working a lot of move the head and move the footwork, everything. I was a little bit stressed about because I would like to do one good boxing fight. Like you go to the war. I always go to the war, but and I showed the skills. I learned from the team Benavidez and it was nice. I did a little works. Okay, we see like you get improved, like footwork, like move the head. So I was really happy. And with the punch, the fun thing my coach said, Jose say, Cris, the punch can finish KO is the punch they don't see. So no
Yeah.
need force for that. So this fight I didn't force, and the KO come to the end.
So I think everyone wants to know, Cris, what are you leaning more towards next? Another boxing fight or MMA? What's the latest on what could be happening for you going forward? I know we're just a couple days removed, but I'm sure you have an idea of what you'd like to do next.
Next is gonna be a MMA fight. In Christmas, Peter calling me, asking me if I would like to fight Kayla in February. So I say yes, I can finish the fight boxing, and you can do that. I was already training, and we already been prepared for Kayla, but her team don't agree. I don't know what's going on. I think she's injured. I don't know. She said that, but she left the last fight ready, calling me out. So. But it's okay. Probably it's going to be MMA next, and I'm already back 1 week off and back to training.
What about Leah McCourt? I know that was a fight you wanted to have. I'm not sure how things work now with you being under the PFL banner. Is that still a possibility, you and Leah fighting? Because I know that's a fight you wanted.
The reality, like I like to fight the contender number one, and then Leah, she was the next for fight for the title for Bellator. I believe she deserved the fight, and I'm willing to fight her too. I think she's ready and she's been training. She's upset about everything's going on for sure. But she's next for the contender. She's next for the belt. But everything changed. But let's see what's gonna happen.
Is it your idea that you will fight on that card for PFL, the PFL versus Bellator card? Is that kind of what you're looking at? That's February 24th. That's a pay-per-view. I would imagine they would want to have you on the card, and I'm sure you want to compete on that card too.
Is the fight that they offered for me, Kayla Harrison, in February?
Yeah.
It was the fight they offered. We accepted. They just don't wait for the send the contract, but we just is still waiting. So
Okay.
But we see he did an interview, Dawn, and say she's injury. So
Gotcha. What about Larissa Pacheco? That's another fight I think that people want to see, just with Larissa beating Kayla. Is that possibly an option, or is it still is Leah sort of the front runner here? What are you sort of looking at as far as an opponent?
For sure, have everybody in the line to make this fight happen. I think Pacheco, she's the big name too. But I believe everybody wait for the Kayla. We already promoted this fight for 3 years. I believe after this fight we can promote the fight, against Pacheco. I think we already started promoting because we start talking about this now. But Kayla, we already been 3 years then, I think everybody want to watch see this fight. And let's see what is PFL going to promote this fight.
So just to clarify, like if Kayla can't go on the February 24th card, would you be willing to skip that event and just get to fight Kayla after? Because obviously it's a big fight, and it seems like the fight that everyone wants to see. It would almost be better, I think, to wait around for that fight than take another opponent on the February 24th card.
No, I believe they'll already take out the table because she's in injury. She didn't accept the fight. So probably they're going to reschedule, and then, I don't know, I just going to keep training, waiting, and yes, ready for she's be ready.
Okay, well, there we go. Well, that wasn't the only combat sports action on Saturday. Of course, we had UFC 297. I was in the building for it, Chris, out there in cold Toronto. But we have a new middleweight champion, Dricus Du Pleassis, defeating Sean Strickland in an absolute classic. I know you got a chance to catch the highlights and the fight. Who do you think won? Because some people felt like Sean Strickland did enough to get the victory.
I watched the fight. The reality, the African, I was with the South African guy, because after Stricky, I like Stricky, but after he say the girls fight, right. So, I don't think it's cool to do that, I believe, but the reality, I watched the fight. I believe the South Africa won, because I think he's more in shape. And then the reality, I was talking to my friends, like if he live in South Africa over there, it's a high altitude. So you can see he tries stand up, he tries take it down. He's really trying a lot of things. And the striker, he's tried the jab, but he's not follow up the jab. He's just keeping the jab, so he's show a little bit more. But I'm not the judge to watch the fight, but congratulations for the South African one.
Yes, for sure. And I know obviously you have a history of training in South Africa as well. I know you and Don Madge got to link up a couple of years ago. So I know it's somewhere you absolutely love, and it's pretty cool, Chris. I know, someone who trained there. Dricus is the first South African champion in the UFC. That's pretty incredible.
Yes, for sure. Everybody there happy. I think UFC happy too. It's a moment, another place they can go in. So it was really cool.
And then in the co-main event, we have a new women's bantamweight champion. Of course, Amanda Nunes retired, so it was Raquel Pennington and Mayra Bueno Silva. It's Raquel Pennington getting the decision victory. What did you think of that fight, and what do you think of Raquel being a UFC champion now?
Raquel for a long time, she's saying she's 10 years, in the UFC, and she's always she always the contender number one, and fight for the title. Congratulations to her. Sheetera was being talked too much. I really don't like talk too much, because when you go to the fight, you really have to make it happen. And I believe it's just training, the focus to the fight, be ready. I think is number one thing you have to do. And, she's young. She's going to continue training, learning. And congrats to Raquel Pennington.
Absolutely. And back to you. Obviously, we're still waiting on, what is next and what fight you might have. We just talked about Kayla Harrison earlier. Any cross training? We mentioned you doing some cross training for the boxing fight. Any plans to go do any training just while you don't have this fight booked?
The reality, I was take off a 1 week break here, and then we back to the training. We already been training for next be Kayla, because she's southpaw. We work with Katzingan southpaw. My last box fight, before this one, the weekend, the girl was a southpaw. So we already been prepared for the game to fight Kayla, because this will say, okay, we can accept her. It's going to be in February, it's a short notice, but we already been training, so being ready. And for sure, I'm going to continue training next week back to BJJ. And I miss, I was just doing boxing. And for sure, I miss, training the other things in the mixed martial arts, and I'm ready.
Before we go, got to do our Portuguese saying of the week. And this one's kind of late, Chris, but we didn't get a chance to talk when the New Year started. So how would I say happy holidays in Portuguese?
Happy holidays. I'm going to put the Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Let's do Happy New Year. Yeah, that's better. Okay, sure.
Feliz Ano Novo.
Feliz Ano Novo.
Yes.
There we go. I'm in business. And before we get out of here, Chris, I know you got a lot going on, not just in the cage or in the ring this past weekend, but you've got the OnlyFans, which is behind the scenes video blogs. You've got obviously CrisCyborg.com, which you can sign up for using Bitcoin and for less than a cup of coffee. You got the obviously the Q&As and everything. Anything you got coming up, you can tell us about content that we can check out.
Next weekend, this Saturday, I'm going to be in Houston, Sugarland, and in the gym with my friend, KO Range. If you guys would like to meet me, go over there. It's going to be Saturday during the 9 to 12 p.m. And I'm going to say thank you for ever Cyber Nation went to the event. Or it's finish the ticket sale, the beginning of the event start. I want to be really thankful for everyone show up. So if you want to subscribe for my OnlyFans, we have like 50,000 subscribers. It's really cool. We show nice content, missionary work, travel, training. You're going to love to be part of this. And, you don't have the member, you can go to chriscyborg.com. You can see a lot of the good things we have. You accept Bitcoins in my website too. And this year we have the Bitcoin conference, and you can get a ticket in my website. I really appreciate everyone. Happy New Year, James. I'm really happy to be back. I also miss you.